Hello, good morning, and welcome back to Reaper Pro Tips with me, your host, Anne, and Disembodied Hands, Quindy, Justin, and John. How are you guys? No Stumpy yet, by the way. No Stumpidar. None of that. Yet. I am thinking about starting the base tomorrow, though, because hopefully Stumpidar will hit us in the mail soon. Yay! Boing. Everybody's like, it's morning. It's the 13th. It's Wednesday the 13th. We are... I guess I'll just do what I was doing before and use my Shield Brown for NMM. I have all these paints spread out in different rooms. I think I'm going to use Lantern Yellow, Shield Brown, and Lemon Yellow, which is more of a green yellow, but I think I'm going to use those. I think that's going to be my my progression for NMM today for gold. And this just proves that you can like switch it up a lot. You need a warm brown. You need a vibrant, fairly vibrant yellow, or you need this over white. Or I more often will mix these at Palomino, or in this case, Oxide Yellow. This looks like mustard, but when you put it over white, it does get very, very bright. So if you add just a touch of white to it, it will lighten up a lot. Oh, God. Carandar Garmander. I think that's the name I actually gave him, too. I think it's one of the names I actually gave him when he asked me for dragon names. So now he's never going to ask me again. Thanks, guys. But that's okay. You still get brownie points for annoying Ron. Oh, wait. Sorry, urgent thing I needed to give David a response on. There we are. Excellent. Sorry. A severe thunderstorm warning. Ooh, yuck with tornadoes. You need a new beam you can butcher to annoy Ron? You can call him Mr. Chonky if you want. Right now, he's still Stumpidar. Or she, actually. If you read the fluff on that dragon, on the Kickstarter, obviously none of you are reading the fluff. You're as bad as my fiance, who never ever reads the fluff and has to ask me after the fact, oh, what was the point behind all that? We've just got wind here, although it looks more still today, but we're supposed to maybe get rain tomorrow. Fingers crossed. National Pineapple Upside Down Cake Day. Ooh, I could make one of those, make it gluten-free and low carb. Even with the pineapple. It would just be low carb. It would not be keto. Pineapple Upside Down Cake is not keto. All right. So let's get these colors mixed up. And I've got rather a crooked camera, so let's fix that. There we go, much better. So these are the colors I'm going to use to make some NMMs. Hey, Neural, thanks for the resub. 29 months. Ooh, Cosmic Brownies. And we do need to use a darker shadow than this, but I start out with the main colors and then I bring in almost any really dark brown. Blackened brown works. Russet brown can work. Sometimes you need that little extra touch of brown liner or something similar. But it depends on how shiny you want your gold to be. This is cloth of gold for the most part, although the little bit around his jewelry could be, shinier. Ooh, also, I totally forgot to put the accent color down here. Ooh, oh no. Well, I'm going to have to fix that. So I'll do it in, I'll do the little bits in gold first, and then I'm going to go in and put some white underpainting in for that, that accent color to go down there. I totally forgot that yesterday. Yeah, rum is right out for me, sadly. My intestines and I have a truce, which involves no rum, sadly. Let's see here. Where did my pokey tool go? There it is. My lantern yellow is telling me I've neglected it for too long. Boop. And I have to clean off my pokey tool or it'll be sad. There. Ah, and now it went, of course, now too much yellow, but there's never too much yellow, right? There's never too much. That's a lot. That's okay. Because we can take some of that and put it into our shield brown, which I usually do anyway. Even when I'm using like rich leather, which is much more a yellowy color than the brown, I do use and put a bit of this lantern yellow, this really, really bright warm yellow into it. Is the blending bad, or are your highlights and shadows off, Kerniko? The first thing to do is to troubleshoot. What exactly is bad? And then you can fix it. Boink. Get our water in there. I'm gonna base coat this little area first, and then I'll go back. Mostly blending. Yeah. Are you trying to go to black, or are you using gray liner? Gray liner or carbon gray are what I recommend. Yeah. Okay, so carbon gray can be very, 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 it can be strong. It can be very strong. So it can be difficult. Are you wet blending, or are you trying to layer? I'm going to just put all of this down. It's got that little tracery of geometric pattern that I do want to do in gold, but I want stuff around it to be in white. So we're going to do a little bit of a do-si-do down here. So maybe start with ashen blue and then mix your ashen blue and carbon gray, and then thin your carbon gray way down. Don't know what progression you used, but I might start with just ashen gray with a touch of carbon gray, or ashen blue with a touch of carbon gray in it for my mid, and then work either way. That'll make it a little more blendable. Okay. All right, I want liner. Gray liner can make things easier, by the way, because it is naturally translucent, so it's not going to fight you as much on the blends. That's why I often use liner for my darks in NMM. It's much easier to make it play nice usually. I'm going to use Rogue Shadow, but I'm going to drop a drop of russet into it. I need to line down here too. I totally lost any lining I had. All right, so now I've got something that looks like this, but we're not going to stay here, though I am going to grab a little bit more of this because there is a kind of an upper rim on this embroidery design down here that I didn't quite get all of in my first coat. All right, now let's get closer. Yeah, you could just try to glaze with your ashen blue with a tiny touch of the carbon gray and a little bit of white in it to kind of fog over the surface and make it blend a little nicer that way. And glazing really is where blending comes into its own, where you get the smoothness to it. A lot of the times you're just trying to trick the eye and you need that glaze. Sometimes you're good enough to get smooth with just layering, But that generally takes a lot of practice and a bit of luck in my experience. Often I will glaze. Gonna put that line in there. So there's a section on top here, that little section I just lined. And then there's this geometric pattern, which I'm just gonna fill in, totally paint over with my liner. Part of me is like, I think maybe the top part of this is gonna stay gold. There's not a lot of room for the accent color in between here. But first I need to block in that little line if I'm gonna keep it, make it stand out. Yeah, but never forget, especially when you're trying to do like a really smooth blend like for NMM, that it's not just layering, it's layering and glazing. They go hand in hand for getting smoothness. So all right, so I think I've got that. Feel like I need just a little bit more up on top here to make this part stand out. Also, I didn't shade. Well, I shaded a little bit, but I can do more highlights on this. Should have done a little more than I did. All right, so now I want pure white because I want to underpaint some stuff. Since we're doing tiny little designy things. 1 second. And 1 drop of white. So we'll do a 4-to-1 with the pure white because I want to underpaint, but I want to underpaint a very small area. I'm going to mix up my lantern yellow here to keep it a little bit wetter. I put some water in it, but then I didn't mix it in. I am gonna put a brush full of the lantern into this now that I'm done with my base coat. It's gonna warm it up a lot. It's gonna go a tad greenish because there's black in the shield brown and there's not enough red pigment in the shield brown to keep it from going green. Unlike with rich leather, where, well, it's also somewhat green, but it's got a little bit more pigment to offset. So like my progression currently is darkest shadow, also liner, shadow, and mid. Although this will get doctored a little bit as we go. I'm not quite there yet. First I want to underpaint and get these little tiny details to stand out on him. And at this point he can actually stand on his own here. Uh-oh, I got a hair in my paint. That hair cannot make it onto the model. So what are y'all up to this week? Doing anything fun and creative? Hey, Bryce. Really? You're such a pro, Bryce. I can't possibly teach you that much. I can't possibly. I refuse to believe it. But thank you. So I want this little thing to show up, and so I want it to be underpainted. I painted it over with the dark color to kind of put a tiny dark rim around it, because I didn't just paint on the top of it, I painted all of it. So now that's going to make that little geometric pattern show up better. And I'll do it up here too, just a little bit. Then when I go over this with a lighter color, it's going to show up better. I see. So you're MMORPGing. Your MMO has attacked your mini painting hobby, and Nomadzik. Hey, when Overwatch 2 comes out, that may happen to me. We've been pretty good though. I've been pretty good about since Tiny Tina came out, the new Borderlands. Fantasy Borderlands. Fantasy D&D Borderlands. You know you want to play it. But since it came out, I've actually been very good about painting as well as playing in the evenings. So I pretty much insist that I don't want to play computer games for a very long time, and then toward the end of the night I paint a little bit. There we go. So you can see how the underpainting in white makes that geometric design stand out more. Hammer-based company. Oh, yes. Ooh, Japanese mech model. Those are pretty cool. Like, that's the one thing that my expertise is not, like, into backside. So I'm very happy that that there are other people in the world who can do that. But vehicles are my Achilles heel. I haven't enjoyed painting them, and very few of them really appeal to me. So I'm like, I haven't gotten into it. I haven't learned that yet. That's one thing. That's a thing that I'll have to learn down the road. Because every once in a while I see a cool vehicle and I'm just like, ooh, that would be kind of fun. But as it stands right now, I feel like the only thing I can paint are orc trucks, because at least that I know how to do weathering. I can do tons of weathering and chip paint and rust. That's like easy to me. But doing a really well done vehicle otherwise is a big challenge for me. It's something that I've never quite gotten my head around. So I'm going to take the yellow a little bit and pop some in here, guys, just to get a little bit of color. Mostly on the tops here and on the bottoms. Just trying to get some gold color in there. Yeah, well, I haven't gotten into it yet, so we'll see. Yoga section in the class today. Zen. Oh, brand new raid dropped. I did my yoga this morning, but I could use some more. All right, so I'm going to block in a little bit of a dark shadow underneath the top here because there's not much room. And do I need to touch that up? Not really. It looks okay. All right, now I want to put in some underpainting because I want to do this magenta-y color, the red-violet. I want to do a touch of it down here to bring that color lower down on the model. Yeah, Infinity's got some really nice mechs. I tend to be drawn to walkers and stuff and power suits. One of these days I'll give in and try one. I just like to look at all those flat surfaces and go, why? Like, part of me really wants to do one, but it's like a part of me that's gonna have to like wait its turn because I just bought oil paints. And now, of course, it happens that since I ordered the oil paints from far away, I've got everything else now. Everything else, of course, got shipped today. So all my other supplies for painting with oil paints I have, except for the oil paints, which is just, you know, the way life goes, right? So since we're trying to put this, the red-violet color down here, and it's a very small area, I'm going to have to make it pretty vibrant. I'm probably going to use my runic glow and then glaze over it with some violet red to intensify it. And hopefully we'll get a touch of that color down there that we've got up here, and it'll help to move the eye around the model. I could cover it in freehand, but it's kind of cheating, Korniko. Like, if I'm going to paint a vehicle, I want to paint a vehicle like well, right? I want to learn that. That would be the point, would be learning that technique skill set. But I mean, that's never a bad thing. Like, I've kind of approached it over the years as, I don't know how to do this. Well, that's on the list for later when I get, you know, bored and I need a new challenge. So there are still things I'm working on with my regular painting, you know, right now, trying to get better at. All right, I'm gonna get a little bit of this violet red over here and turn it into a glaze by throwing a lot of water into it. But yeah, actually, Vince Venturella, he did all that freehand on that beautiful Slanesh Knight for Golden Demon that I think he got a commendation on, but don't quote me on that. I think he did. He didn't get a demon, but he got a commendation. But it was a beautiful piece. Dang, it was beautiful. Vince is good at vehicles, so I really enjoyed it. He's like, you like all the right things. I'm like, yes, I do. I like all the same armies he does. All right, so we've got these two colors here. You've got the pink and the red there, the violet red. So I'm going to pop a little bit into the pink to darken it, make it a little more intense. Remember that with these very small areas, you've got to make your colors really pop, because if you go in there with kind of a lightweight color, it's so small, it's really not even going to read. So, Hokar, cool. Vince is good at everything. Yeah, he is. He definitely is. And he also knows, like, what I like about watching Vince's videos and stuff is that he kind of knows when he's phoned it in. Like when he did his lead up to Golden Demons video, he's like, I expect this has a 1 in 10 chance because, yeah, I'm done with it. But yeah, Vince is good. He's a good painter. He's a good guy. It was nice to hang out with him at Demons. The funny thing is that he also immediately knew what was going to win Slayer Sword. He took one look at it and he went, this is exactly what they're looking for. Which I thought was funny. But it just goes to show you that Vince has an excellent grasp as far as Golden Demons and Games Workshop in general, as far as the style. All right, so I'm essentially glazing over this with a bit of this violet red to intensify the color so we can see it. Because it's showing up better in person, but it's still pretty weak down there. So I may have to do that top area too. I was thinking I might avoid the top area, but yeah, contest painting. I like competition painting. I really enjoy it. I enjoy the challenge of it. A lot of people are like kind of meh on Golden Demon because it's very much a Games Workshop painting style, but that's kind of what I kind of grew up on. And I enjoy that style. So for me, it's exciting. It's an exciting challenge. Hey, Freestyle, thank you for the resub. 29 months. Excellent. Thank you so much. But yeah, I haven't painted in that style for a long time, so it'll be fun. I'm actually looking forward to it. All right, so we've blocked in a little bit of white up there now, which actually looks kind of nice with the pink, to be honest. And I've lost a little of my lining, so I'm going to have to touch that up. This is all real tight. So, oh, was it? Bryce, which one? Did you text him that? Because he would totally appreciate that if you told him. Where was the news article, and which model was it? Forge World style's a little grittier, right, Kirst? All right, so got my lining back in. This is going to be a little bit of back and forth with the fine motor control, just to try to get everything to be pretty clean and sharp down here. Because I want these details to stand out. So my lining has to be pretty tight next to these bright colors and these light colors. This is the hard part. Museum quality. Yeah, I'm not as into that. Yeah, that's true. I don't know. Their stuff always looks a little grittier to me backside, but maybe I'm always looking at the Primarchs though, because those are what I really like from Forge World. I really want the Vulcan, but first I have to paint my Alfarius. Like, I can't have a new Primarch, so I paint my previous Primarch. Oh, yeah, he runs ads on Deca. Yeah, he does, Kreniko. Actually, I gave him crap last night because he hasn't finished his latest article. Oh, interesting. Hold on, let me take a quick screenshot of that so that I can look it up, Bryce. Boom, boom. There, got it. Awesome, thank you. I'll totally look that up and send it to him. Correct, yeah. The Primarchs, yeah, they're really nice. I painted the Lehman Russ for commission. I have pictures of it up on my website. Oh, you'll send it? Thanks. Okay, I want to take a little bit more of this violet red. Now that I've got that white put in there, I kind of like that because the white, the presence of the white, one, it works in with the off-white up here, right? And two, it makes the pink stand out a little more because the white there is next to it for contrast. Yeah, I don't let myself look at the Forge World website very much because expensive, and I already like have spent enough money on Games Workshop recently. But I just dropped an order yesterday because I want to figure out if I can make my own contrast paint. I want to tell people how to make their own contrast paint. So I'm going to try. I needed samples though to do it. So I ordered a few samples and boy, oh my God. Okay. Can I just say, like, Reaper, thank you for keeping paint prices manageable. Can I just say that? Like, take a look at how much GW is charging for their paint these days. Like, and then, you know, have a slight heart attack and then roll over and go, thank God for Reaper, and other companies who are not charging that much. Seriously. That was my thought. Only the tax write-off has saved it for me. But yeah, I spent a lot on paint recently. A lot of it is going to end up going onto YouTube and Patreon as far as the reasons for it. Buying a lot to like do comparisons and how to uses and things like that. But I need to have the samples to actually like work those comparison articles. So I'm going to add a little bit more violet red, dark violet red down in the fold here. And I'm just glazing this on real gently. Like I don't want it to be like super hard. I want it to be a little lighter so you can pick it up with the eye. But now I'm picking up the pink because the white is there to give me contrast. I need to, that's about right. I can probably put a tiny thread of white in there. Are they in bigger pots now? I still don't know if that justifies it. Yeah, I want to, Null Oil is a very good wash because it is a, they're using those superfine pigments I kept trying to get and couldn't get. So many times I tried to get samples of those suckers when I was at Reaper. But the company, the main company in the USA that makes them is just like, I swear, I don't know how they're still in business. Horrible customer service. Yeah, I prefer dropper bottles too, and if I didn't buy any GW regular paints, I just bought a few of the contrast paints because I wanted to play around with them and see what exact consistency and what colors like Reaper makes that would make good, you know, very similar effects. All right, so a little tiny thread of white there. Yeah, I did notice that when I was first playing with them at my local GW store back when I had a local GW store, you know, that some of them are very lightweight and some of them are not. And so I'm going to, I remember the consistency of the lightweight and it was much more of a light wash, like the pink one. So I ordered a variety. I ordered a green, a red, a blue, and a yellow. So that it would hopefully give me enough, from what I remembered, enough of the variant. There we go. Got a little bit of that white in there. Enough variants to really do a compare, right? So now I want to solidify my lining a little bit on the lower part of this braid. This is all this, when you get little details like this, it's titchy. It takes a while to dial them in to where you like them. Yeah. I do not like, I will admit, I am not a fan of Army Painter. I have never used a product of theirs that I enjoyed as much as I enjoy some other lines. So I'm glad that you guys like them. And it just once again shows your mileage may vary. Like, just because one person does not like a line or just doesn't enjoy using it doesn't mean that you won't. You should always try these things, you know, for yourself. Always. Even if it's me, I am certainly fallible. And I have my things that I like, and I'm very particular, and I think a lot of us are like that, and that's why there's room for all these different paint lines in the market, right? And that's exciting, because it means that every once in a while there's something brand new for each of us to try that we haven't considered before, and that's fun. So, half the fun. I'm not so worried about shiny finishes either, because I have, you know, guys, we have anti-shine additive. We have anti-shine additive. This works for all water-based paint, by the way. All of it. Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of paint companies and game companies fall into that hole where they put out a product, but there isn't a lot of information on how to use them. Have they... Hey guys, here's a question. I actually do like Turbodork backside. I used their... I did a demo with their color shift. And I actually have the contact info for their paint line designer. I actually chatted with her briefly. We just both are so busy that we haven't really otherwise touched base. But yeah, I have a very good opinion of Turbodork from what I used. Haven't given the rest of their line really a run for it just because I'm freaking busy and I've already got 2 paint lines that I'm working heavily with, but... Oh yeah, so anyway, my question is, for those of you in the know, remember when Duncan was doing all those nice videos for GW and then he split and started his own YouTube channel and stuff? Have they replaced Duncan? Do they have somebody else like doing videos on how to paint things? My guess is no, but maybe they do. There. They have replaced him? Okay. I wondered if they would. But yeah, that's really where they explain like how to use stuff, right? Gonna start kind of mapping in some yellows up here, a little bit down here. This yellow is too bright, so I'm going to end up doing a mix real quick, but I wanted to kind of get that on there so I could see what I'm looking at. Good night, Glum. Good night. Peaches isn't as charismatic. Yeah, right. Well, that's why he's not likely to go running off and making his own YouTube channel. Peaches taught Duncan, though, didn't he? It's just that Duncan had a better camera presence. All right, so now let's mix some colors. I've got this kind of sitting where I want it. Now I got to turn this yellow into something I can actually use instead of just a bright, bright yellow. Yeah. Well, Duncan, I mean, to have somebody on camera, you need to, you know, have a personality that really lends itself to it, right? And somebody, hopefully, that can convey the information well. Somebody who's personable. Somebody who people like. All right, so mixing it in, you're going to see this green shift. I mixed one very small brushful of my brown into my yellow. That's what I do regularly. And then I'm going to bring in also a little bit of my lemon yellow. We're going to mix that up. That's what this bear well is. Someone your cat's like. Yeah, because man, you don't want your cats to rage at your computer when you're watching painting videos. But yeah, I mean, it takes, it takes like a certain, I think, just a certain type of thing to be good at this format, to be good at video, to be good at streaming, to juggle it all, to interact with people. You have to, like, I like people. I love interacting with you guys. I hope it shows that I do. Like, and I feel like that's a part of it too, is just that you enjoy interacting with your audience as well. They don't even have a nameplate. Yes, see, okay. All right, I want to just talk about that. That is something that is Games Workshop's MO. Back in the day, they used to share the names of all their sculptors on their products, like Reaper does. And then a bunch of their sculptors essentially used that fame to quit Games Workshop and either found their own companies or go to work for themselves, you know, on a freelance basis. And that made GW mad. And so they stopped featuring their sculptors' names on their materials. So I am not surprised that they do not name promote, after what happened with Duncan, that they do not name promote the person teaching anymore. Yeah, I try. Yeah, we are. We're right. But it's just an interesting thing, and I bring it up because this is what I love about Reaper. Because I watched this happen, and then I went to work for Reaper. And Reaper always promotes their painters. They always promote their sculptors. And it's just, I think it's a great thing in the industry when you've got that. Most companies now, I think, do. They, like, when I order resin from overseas and there's box art, they'll always tell you the sculptor. They'll always tell you the painter. Yeah. So, not to go into drama land, but that's why I brought it up, is that this is why I am a happy Reaper employee. When I first switched over, I was going directly from working for Games Workshop to working for Reaper. And I just really have always appreciated Reaper's, like, just the way that they promote the people that work for them. Okay. It's just like a cool thing. It's a very good thing. And even if you're like me and I, split, and I'm still working for Reaper on this stream, obviously, but I split to do my own thing for the most part to try to make a living. But I haven't been, like, tossed out the door by Reaper for doing so. Like, Reaper still promotes me. Reaper lets me promote myself. And that's one of the great things about this company. So I'm going to take some of my mid yellow and I'm going to pop it into that lemon. This is still very bright. I want this, there we go. That's more it. You don't want to really mute it down, but you want it to be you don't want that bright yellow either. To be fair, the current GW is a much better iteration of the company. So their current CEO is a vast improvement over their past leadership, in my opinion. Always just my opinion. I think so, Backside, because the big difference here is that, now remember, you can't blame everything on GW's people. They are a publicly traded company and they answer to their shareholders, ultimately. So they can't do some things because their shareholders would essentially freak out and remove them from the board, which is why Reaper's not publicly traded. But in general, I will always, I like the fact that their CEO came up from the ranks. Yeah. And he understands the hobby and he understands the customer base. And he has tried to, like, put out things that make some things more affordable, do more start collecting boxes and stuff like that. Although right now it seems like a lot of that stuff's out of stock. But all right, let me get in here. Now we're going to start with the yellow. We're going to bring this in. You see my colors, but I need a richer, darker brown in here, I think. If I go down to this, This has so much black in it, you're going to get a green shift between these because we already have kind of a greenish shift here. If we pop more black in there, it's going to go way green really fast. And that's great for bronze, but it's not good for gold. Yeah. Oh yeah, of course, because they want their value to keep going up. If you don't make, if you don't see increasing profits, yeah, never, it's like, a lot of publicly traded companies like really just answer to the shareholders, and the shareholders want more money. It's really why they're investing. All right, so let's grab russet brown, my favorite. We could also use, if we wanted to go for a reddish gold, you could use ruddy leather. You could even use something like oxide brown, but it will go very red, so be aware of that. If you're doing more of it like what I call an Egyptian gold, more of a red shift gold. But I don't want to shift toward red here because I've already got pink and I've already got orange. So if I shift my gold toward red, it's really, really going to want to clash. Yeah, Reaper is pretty class act. I will absolutely support that statement. That's why I enjoy being affiliated with them. I'm always very proud of the company, apart from the fact that I made the paint line. So obviously, like, Master Series is kind of my legacy to the community, but I'm just, like, proud of being affiliated with Reaper. Like, I feel like Ed does his best to do the right thing for both the company and the community. And when Reaper messes up, they own it. They don't, try to bury it or do, they're a good company, guys. I wouldn't have worked for them for 19 years. If they weren't a good company. I'm biased because I have worked for them for 19 years. But, just gotta say. All right, so this is a much warmer color, so you can see this now. So here we go. We got kind of a greenish-y, brownish-y gold, and then we've got, let's see, let me get my big black piece. There. There we'll be able to see it a little bit better. See the colors. There we are. So you can see that this is a very, very warm brown. It is a lot yellow, but it also has, some reddish, more reddish tones in it than this for sure. So this is going to be kind of a bridging color. If I want to start a shadow, but I don't want to go green with it, I'm going to use this between this and that. And this dark color is going to be very, very small touches, probably not even on the cloth, but more on when I'm creating shadows on the jewelry. Because then I need a lot more contrast because metal is more shiny than like a cloth of gold kind of thing. Monthly tithe. Yeah, Reaper does have a fantastic community. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Reaper's not trying to like say, oh, there was no mistake. You guys just, yeah, whatever. And then move on. No, Reaper's good people. Working for Reaper for a long time is essentially makes you part of the family. And being a customer for a long time that we know, that we see at the cons and everything, it makes you part of the family too. And so that's like, it's like an example of that, an excellent example of that too, is like Christine Van Patten, who started out, just coming to ReaperCon like as a fan and painting, and then, taught herself to sculpt and became a Reaper sculptor. So she was already part of the family, and now she's even more part of the family. And she still does her own stuff, but she sculpts a lot of stuff for Ron, so. There we go. So bringing in that yellow, and I'm going to have to bring more of it up. There's going to be a little bit of a shadow here where it drops off. I'm going to need to bring up a bit more light there. And what I could do here is I could try to bring in some texture. It is pretty broad. It would be difficult because of the scale. I'm not sure how it would read. I did a little texture here though, so I could possibly bring in a little texture there. It will complicate when you're trying to do shiny things though. But yeah, so, I mean, how companies like work in the industry, how they relate to their employees and their artists and each other. Like, you can learn a lot about a company that way. And many of the companies in our industry are tiny little companies, right? Like, very small, like Journeyman Miniatures, which I, got my Confrontation Wolfen sculptures from. That's just like a few guys in the UK. and some really good sculptors, right? And that's it. So I'm going to just suggest a little bit of a texture, I think, coming in here. So little companies like that, they're very vested in customer service, or they should be. When they're not, I kind of raise my eyebrows and wonder what they're doing. They have the ability to still relate well. They're not answering to stockholders. They're answering just to what, their gut says to do. So I think you can tell a lot about a company just in general, the way it relates to its customer base and the community at large. Quindy. Quentin Reaper has great taste in Twitch mods whose names start with K. Yeah. Clear metals. Yeah, Kodiak, actually, I did this. I have a couple of things. So one of them is on the Reaper YouTube. We did a water weird. I actually think I have that water weird very, very close to me. 1 second. I think I've got both of the clear models I painted. I'm not a huge fan of the clear models, but they can look good with very little work. So if Quindy has time, but you should be able to go and like search for water weird. You can see how he's got like some frothy bits on him, and he's got some shading on him. He's got that blue shift to the aqua, and it all darkens as you go down. So that's how I did the water weird. And the key here is less is more. So water weird, the painting of the water weird is on our Reaper YouTube, and you should hopefully be able to search for it. I'm not sure what the SKU is. If Quindy knows, that might be a nice thing to pop up. But I don't want to distract Quindy too much. And then the other one I did is on my own YouTube, and that was from Rax, who had this slime kitty sculpted off of based on a sketch by his son. And so I do have this VOD. It's a VOD, so it's a whole like hour and a half of painting this translucent slime kitty. And the color the slime kitty started out as is this. So you can see there was quite a bit that went into it. So it changed a lot. So yes, I've done 2 translucent models. You can find all of that content is free on either Reaper's YouTube or mine. Yay, water weird video. Quindy is awesome. Yeah, and she just linked my YouTube is the one just one up from the bottom, above the Instagram. So, and it wasn't very long ago on the slime kitty. So Kerniko, if you actually started a GoFundMe to come to ReaperCon, I am pretty sure we would pay for you to come. like it's like, guys, do we want Kerniko to come to ReaperCon? Yes! Boom, everybody votes with their dollars. I'm just doing a bit of lining around the heart up here just to bring it out more from what I'm going to be doing gold around it. It's been done before. I didn't know that. That's pretty cool though. Like it lets us actually like vote with our dollars, so the people that we would love to meet, actually we get to meet. So I'm going to pop in a little bit more of this russet brown up here. See how that's changing the color here. It's definitely sliding it away from red and away from the green as well, because it has a little bit of warmth to it. So I'm going to grab this intermediate shade and I'm going to pop it and make a little blend. Happy blends. That's nice. Actually, I like that. I'm going to add in a little bit more texture. Oh, yeah, the personal YouTube channel, actually, Quindy linked up above in that wall of text. But if your internet spazzed and you missed it, if you just go to YouTube and you type in painting big, it's one word. Do I have a branding thing? I have a branding thing? Yes. I have a branding thing. One second. If you search for painting big, all one word, and you find a channel with a dragon and a Soldier 76 statue, you have found me. But yeah, you can also, there's the, Quindy just spammed you again. It's the second one up from the bottom. Alrighty. But yeah, so there you go. So now you can go watch Slime Kitty. You can also watch my new Fundamentals of Mini Painting series. But you know what I'm kind of interested in, guys? I'm kind of interested in trying to paint one of these translucent guys with oils. Because, like, I wonder if it would really work really well because of the translucency of a lot of oil paints. Considering backing Bone 6, I want that werebear. I like texted Ron the other day. I'm like, I want the werebear. Can you get me a copy of the werebear? So you guys, if Ron comes through, Ron may get somebody to print a copy of that werebear for me, and I may paint it on stream. I would love that, because I love that werebear. Even David was like, wow, that's a good werebear. So, and David is picky. It is a great kit for painting practice, yeah. Yeah, that's what I tell people. It's like if you are looking to get into the hobby and you don't have a ton of money and you're aghast at how expensive miniatures are getting, then when Reaper's got a Kickstarter up, freaking back it, because that's going to give you so many different models to practice on. Like, and when you're starting out, painting a lot of models is the best way you can get better. So I'm just kind of popping in some little texture here, guys. Just a little bit. I got closer so I could show you. I need to thin this a little bit more, though. A little bit too thick. When my paint is too thick, I cannot, it won't come off the brush very nicely. But yeah, so if you have friends who are starting out and they're like, oh my gosh, I need more miniatures, but I don't have much money, it's like, you can get very, very inexpensive miniatures by backing the core, if you can dredge up that much cash. And it will last you for a very long time, although our fans can speak to this because they still all have stuff hanging around from Bones 4 and 5. And sometimes from earlier. Oh, the Star Sapphire, yeah. Yeah, it turned out well. All right, so I'm going to put in a little bit more texture along the edges, but I'm going to use a slightly darker yellow. So the thing I like about thinned paint is I can make even finer details. It's not as thick as these, and I can keep going for much longer. Now, if you want less subtle and more overt, then yeah, you should aim for slightly thicker paint. But you're still going to need to thin a bit to get the texture to come through. So we've got that. So that suggests a little bit of cloth texture, just a little bit of streaks there. Texture is dots and dashes. It's all about brushstroke and kind of conveying visual information about a surface. And cloth can be either dots or dashes, and it depends on if you're trying to give the impression of a more finely woven cloth, which would be like this, or if it's more like a wool where it's nappy and has this little pebbly texture, and that's where you're using dots. And with 28 millimeters, sometimes texture can feel like overdone. So I try to keep it like subtle and I don't put it everywhere. But you can still like convey visual information on a surface where you want to by utilizing it. Well, Twisted Oma, obviously you need to like teach some people to paint or like sponsor some paint and takes. Like that would be the best use for things. Because the one thing I was thinking about the other day is just like, and I talked to David about this a little bit last night, like kids getting into this hobby, right? Kids trying to get into this hobby, like who can afford it? Like, it's like, except for Reaper Bones, it's really hard for kids to get into this hobby. So many models are so expensive. Like, I got into mini painting in college, but like with the prices nowadays, I couldn't have gotten into it. And that worries me. Like, it outprices our hobby for kids. And I don't want to see that happen. Like, we need kids to love this hobby. We need our hobby to always be evolving and getting new people, new passionate people in it. New people learning how to do awesome stuff with it. You know, yes, Reaper Challenge League is another great way to paint all your stuff. Thanks, Anara and Quindy. And you can win prizes, yes. So Reaper Challenge League is another way to get yourself to paint more. If you're looking to just get your butt in that painting chair and have some motivation to do so, Reaper Challenge League is great motivation. I'm going to thin down my white now because I want it not to be too strong. One way to use a white highlight on like Cloth of Gold and other subtle metallic-y texture, but without like really going over the top on it, is to thin the white down so you don't really get it full strength. When you're doing metal and stuff, you want a full strength pop of white on a really shiny area. Like I thickened up my white to get this pop of white up on the Star Sapphire. But when you're doing like more like this kind of subtle stuff, that's more like a Cloth of Gold or gold braid type of cloth, you're not going to get that really. So you want to make it a little more subtle. You can always thin your white down and make it a little translucent. That's nice. That's nice, Backside. Yeah. Yeah, my Discord sometimes motivates me that way. I have one for my Patreon. And also we have the Reaper one, of course. Oh, I haven't mentioned my Patreon. Hey guys, I've got a Patreon, if you didn't know. So I have a Patreon, and it's patreon.com/paintingbig, and I do lots of stuff on it because it is my visible means of support, and I love it, actually. I love my Patreon. Have so much fun, like coming up with topics and doing stuff, fun stuff. And I'm always open. If you join, I always ask you if there's something that you'd like me to cover. So I am open to feedback and suggestions from my personal private peanut gallery. Well, thank you, Quiddy, for the link. Yeah, I think so, Eric. But the problem with 3D printing, I don't know. Yeah, what I really would like to see is like the 3D printing community, like start up like some painting contests or some conversion contests, right? Because that gets people excited and like it builds a community. I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there building a community off of like the technical aspects of it and sharing awesome sculpts and stuff. I'd like that to progress to the painting side. I know a lot of people who love to print stuff, but then they just let it sit on their shelf. But yes, this is true. So 3D printing can be, although you still have to have the money to actually buy the printer. So the printers, though, are they getting less expensive? I haven't checked on the market lately, guys. Like, if you're looking for a really good resin printer that's going to print without, like, you know, where you don't really have any layers, right? If you want that, like, what are you going to pay for it right now? I know some of you are 3D print nerds and can totally tell me this. That was a little bit too much texture there. That looks furry. If it looks furry, you've gone too far. Your gold should not sprout fur. Decent printer, define it. I want a resin printer that will print at a high enough resolution to not leave striations so that I don't have to worry about that crap. I want really good. Will it do busts? Or because it's a mini, will it not do busts? I thought this might be useful for our audience as well. If it's furry, you've gone too far. I just made I put a little bit too much texture going over the edge here, and it looked furry. So we had furry cuffs. And he's not that kind of elf. He wanted to let me know. Woohoo! I made the cut! Thank you, Karniko. Thank you. Okay. Yeah, that's, I mean, 300 to 600 is kind of what I would have expected for a really high quality machine. So I'm not interested in shortcuts. Like, if we go in on this, we're going in on this in a big way. But I just was curious as far as, like, you know, how much. That's relatively, though, because the actual stuff you print with isn't that expensive, right? So after that, it's mostly your own time that you're spending. Yeah, I'm more interested in top of the line, Eric. I'm pretty darn persnickety, and so is my fiance. So if it's not top of the line, we're probably like, maybe it would be a fun toy to play with, but I don't know that I want to like pay for an item that then I'm going to upgrade from. It seems like a lot of my friends into 3D printers kind of end up that way. They're like, oh, I got the entry level one, but then I got into it and now I bought the bigger one. So maybe I should have just got the bigger one. You know, it's all that stuff. But anyway, hopefully one way or another, we could find a way to keep our hobby accessible to like kids. Because I've taught a lot of kids to paint over the years. And it's such just a great hobby for everybody. It's so zen. It's so relaxing. And it's so much fun. And even if you think that you're not a creative person, it's a creative thing that you can do. It's a lot less intimidating than a blank sheet of paper. Oh, I totally forgot to do the scabbard here. Oh, no. I had too distracted talking to everybody. You just want to print the terrain. Mm-hmm. Yeah, PC that can render 3D. Yeah. Yeah, Patreon costs to get the SELs. Mm-hmm. Oh, dear. It's so zen, she says, as I try to paint eyes. I'm going to call you Fuzardo. I know that's not how you probably mean it to be pronounced, but that's how I'm going to call you. Besides, Fu, it's skill, right? Like Kung Fu. Eyeballs have their own zen, their own edgy sort of zen, which mostly culminates, hopefully, in satisfaction that you managed to not completely screw them up this time, eventually. But I understand. So, the more lines you leave, the more texture you're going to suggest. Just hesitate, or just futzing around on this this cloth to figure out where I want to go with this. So you've convinced me never to buy a 3D printer, Quindy. That's where I am so far. You need a new name anyway. I'm going to put some pure white up here, but since I've thinned it, it's not going to be as bright. But it'll still bring up that light on that upper part, and it still supports the texture that we're doing. So that looks pretty good, actually. As far as the cloth of gold goes, I'm pretty happy with this. I feel like my yellow needs to come up a bit more. I've got a little bit too much shadow. It's a fine dance back and forth. You often what I see is people like eclipsing their shadows and completely losing them, but you can also go the other way and just not have your midtone. You do need enough of the yellow in there to carry the gold color, so filling in that with a little bit more yellow. Oh, I know. I know every time that 3D printers get mentioned, they're going to like surge and overtake the chat. It's like bringing up cats. 3D printers are like cats. They expand to fill all available space. And now I want to see the set of kitty ears that you can attach to your 3D printer. Does that make the place you chuck all your failed prints the litter box? I'm going too far. I've gone too far. Carnico. Or cooking. Yes, yes. Or puppies, it's true. Yeah, see, I just don't want to clean the darn prints. I'd much rather pay some nice person trying to make it their side gig on Etsy to clean those prints for me. All right, so this is kind of my proof of concept, and I like it. So these colors are good, and I like the texture effect, so I can continue with that. You do not like Etsy? I'm sorry. I don't go to Etsy for anything else, but I do go to Etsy to get 3D prints printed because I don't have the wherewithal to do it myself. And there are some nice people on there. Oh, is there a massive Etsy strike at the moment? The litter box. Yeah, okay, Grand Oracle. Woo! 3D printers and cats. Secretly the same thing. Oh, okay. Quindy has requested we not go down the path of the Etsy controversy. I'll just look it up privately on my own. We will respect the Quindy, for she has the mod bat. So I've lost a bit of my yellow here on my little stripes. I got excited and I went in to put highlights in and I completely overwhelmed that yellow. Which happens. I mean, the best attitude you can have when you wipe something out after painstakingly trying to put it in there in the first place is just kind of to shrug and say, oh well, and try again. So just because you accidentally painted over something, don't let it like ruin your mindset. Like, it's so easy to fix. If this was oils, it would not be easy to fix. But because it is acrylics, it is super easy to fix what you do. It is super easy to paint over it. You can do this, and everybody makes mistakes. I just did. So the biggest thing is just to own it and move on. I want a little bit of brown down here, I think, too. I'm missing a little bit of darker color. I've thinned everything down, so nothing I'm doing is super bold. But that's better. There we go. A little bit more yellow down there. For the top of the boots, some wrinkles are sculpted in and I just highlighted them. I do put a little bit extra sometimes, but most of the time I try to follow. Like here you can see there's really just a big flat surface, but I could put a couple of dashes in there. Yeah, take care, Crosshair. Alrighty, I think this is looking pretty okay. I did lose a line here. Sometimes having your lining kind of fade out a little bit is good. It'll make things look more realistic. But sometimes when you're doing tight detail, you do need to try to keep those lines just because on a scale like this small, it's what's kind of keeping your details in play. So it can get very muddy very fast when you lose your lining on little precise detailing. So let's go vertical on this one. I'm going to start out doing the lines all over. Then I'm probably going to bring in my russet brown to suggest more shading. Hello, Alba. So bringing in a little bit of the russet brown to bring in the shadow. Wherever you see a fold, you want to bring in a little bit of shadow. There's much shadowing back here. We've got a little bit, so we've got some folds here and there. Now, no religion, guys. You know the rules. No politics, no religion. Try to respect each other. The bot's like, I'll give it to him. When you sometimes feel like maybe the internet really is sentient and watching you. I'm going to do diagonal stripe instead of vertical, I decided. So bringing in my shadows helps me to do that. I'm going to also grab a little bit of my lighter yellow here, just to maybe create a texture I can see a little bit better. And the fact that this lower hem is so small means you just have to do dots, really. Little tiny dots. Getting a little micro here. Don't want to get too small. All right, I want even a darker shadow in there. Everybody wants to talk to you because you're awesome, Quindy. I do love it when you use the Luca shaking his fist emote, though. It's a great emote. So, okay, bringing in a little bit more shadow here. This is a pretty, like, here this is a pretty shallow fold, and normally we would not bring in a super dark shadow. But if we don't interrupt this with something, it's really going to look really, it's going to be flat, right? Like here we have a nice wave of light to dark to light. So we need to kind of seek that down here, even though this fold is pretty shallow. So I'll kind of dance back and forth with it until I get to something I like. The other thing I'm going to do is actually bring in light along the top edge here, because it's definitely sculpted to stick out, this gold piece. So first I'm going to make sure my lining is pretty solid before I start doing detailing. Goody. Yes, pictures of cats wearing knitted hats and ties and scarves. Crinico. And the nice thing about your cat is that he's black, so he can wear any color. And it looks good on him. No grumpy, Quindy. It's the middle of the week. You can't get grumpy until Friday, because then you can just go, ah. But it's Friday. You are not seeing Quindy comments? She has 2 in the chat right now. One where she is shaking her fist with the Luca and one where she is grumpy. So let's see. That might be a little bit too much. My white attacked, but maybe not. So I'm going to keep it that way for now, and then I'm going to see what I can do with it. That's okay. Not great. It's okay. Did you block me? Fry to your home so you'll be way less grumpy. Way less grumpy. Nobody blocks Quindy. You wouldn't get any of the usefulness of the Quindy then. Like, she would link things for you and you wouldn't even see it. That would be like a great disaster. Man, I'm just not doing thin enough stripes for this. It got all glumpy. Glumpy is my new word. It's glumpy. So I'm going to go over it. It's very glumpy. I think I'm mostly going to concentrate on where the knee sticks out here and then put dark and just light at the very edge. That's probably my error. But remember, the great thing about acrylics, you can paint over it and do it again, and it really doesn't cost you any more than a little bit of time. So like that, that's nice. I like that. How useful you are versus your attitude problem. Oh boy. Yeah, enjoy your food, Shadow Raven. You're just a little troll, Quindy. That's why I love it. All right, there we go. I'm back to my my happy place and doing tiny little things. So a little texture there. That's actually turning it. That's doing really well. I like this. This is good. This is good. Let's not screw it up. I swear I didn't set out to do all of this texture. I just decided that this is the way I was going, spontaneously. That looks pretty good. Pretty good. I see. Not that I think anybody would want to block anybody on here, but, you know, I guess. My hope is that nobody blocks anybody else on this stream. Mostly because we're all terribly funny at one point or another. I would be ashamed to miss that. All right, so a little bit on the edge there, but not a lot. We had the right usefulness ratio. Just want to bring this up a little bit stronger. Gotta be careful. A little bit more. There we go. Now I'm liking how that looks a lot. All right. Good. Good, good, good. Excellent. And just a little bit. Excellent. There. Yeah, I like that. Mostly Quindy. Alrighty. I am going to block in some of this here. Got another fold. Then it goes and kind of dives back behind. So I want to add in a little bit of texture on the back, but as we're not in direct light anymore, I want a little bit less obvious texture back here. Most of the texture I want to be where the light is hitting the model in a very front. When you start falling off, you start losing a lot of the texture to shadow, so you don't see as much. So I save a lot of my texture for kind of the mid highlight to highlight zone, because I feel like that's where the most visual information on texture is conveyed to the eye. And beyond that, I let it slide a bit. So no news on my new puppy, to go back to puppies, because, you know, puppies are a reliable chat mechanism. Actually, I was talking to my breeder last night, Bridget, and there is no sign of heat yet in the dog, so we are still waiting. So a little tiny bit of texture back here, and that may even be too much. We'll leave it there. That's about right. Yes. Okay. So that's a little bit and not too much. Here it's hard because it's underneath the staff, so I think you'd really only get just a tiny bit along the edge there. Sometimes you have to say, hey, even though this is in shadow, I really want this to show up, and I want it to be obvious that there's still texture over here, so I'm going to ignore that a little bit and just put a little suggestion at the edge. And leave it dark further up. But that at least gives us a little bit. Blue blorf on the right boot. This boot? Yeah, there's a blue blorf. Here. We'll take it off. Boop, boop. Do, 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 do. There. Ta-da! Blorfs, they happen. We have impending Luca. Uh-oh. Well then, I suppose I can pause. And we can come back to this. Because it would be nice to actually be on time. Though, you know, Quindy, if I'm ready at exactly 11, Luca will be 5 minutes late. Alpacas, not llamas. But yeah, so what we did today, we talked a lot about NMM. We talked a lot about, we talked a little bit about painting clear minis and where you can find some videos on them. We talked about just generally like the industry. And we did like texture. Unexpectedly, I decided to do texture on the cloth parts of my gold. And we talked a little bit about midtones, highlights, and shadows, and texture placement, and using white, and all that sort of thing. So this is where we are on our elf dude right now. Let's back out a little bit. Actually, that looks very nice. I'm quite happy with that so far. I'm happy with having added more of the pink in down here. It is reading. It's a nice accent now. It's spread throughout the model. I like how the gold is coming up. It's harmonizing well with everything else. Yeah, it's looking pretty good, guys. I'm pretty happy with this model. Any questions while we wait for the master of the alpaca nation to show up? Any questions? Oh, what time are the Bone 6 streams? 4 p.m. Central. Oh, there he is. Poof! Mention him and he appears. Hello, Luca. Well then, since it is just about 1 p.m. Quindy time. I guess it's 11 p.m. or 11 a.m. for my time. It's alpacas. Yes, it was a wild Luca. Poof! a wild Luca appears. All right then. Thanks everybody for tuning in. And tomorrow, hopefully, we'll have a dragon. I'm crossing my fingers here. If we don't have a dragon, I'll at least prep the base. Because I kind of know what color I want the dragon to be. So I can at least prep the base. All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Hang on. Remember, Luca's going to be coming. Quindy's just going to try to switch that stream over. And I'll see you guys all tomorrow. Bye-bye.